What's up, Fairmers? Welcome to the Ferrum Athletic Company podcast. I am your host, Andrea Warner. I am also the co-owner and co-founder of Ferrum Athletic Company. If you would like more information on us, please visit our website at www.ferrumathleticco.com. And now, on to today's show. What's up, Ferrumers? Welcome to episode lucky number 13 of the Ferrum Athletic Company podcast. Our special guest today just happens to be our operations manager, Mel Slappey.
Woo!
What's up, Mel?
I'm here. I exist.
a lot. You exist a lot. So I've systematically been going through and interviewing everybody on our staff. And I think it was week 4? You were like, wait a minute.
I was like, I'm trying not to get a complex here, but is there something I'm missing?
Why haven't you asked me to be on the show? Today's your day. So I opened with having Sherry on the show first. Went through, talked with each one of our staff. The only one that I didn't get a chance to talk to is Max, which I'm sure he's thankful for anyway, but that's okay. He's probably like, thank God.
Right.
And then I'm ending staff introductions with you. And the reason why I wanted to end with you is, number one, you've been with us for a really long time. You've been through a lot of the things. You also have a very major, important role within our business now. So you've been through a lot of really cool stuff that I can't wait to share with everyone. So that's why I've kind of saved you for last.
Okay, cool.
Yay.
I appreciate that.
So went to University of Georgia.
Yes.
Go Dogs.
Yes.
Graduated with a degree in?
It was a business degree in insurance and risk management.
Exciting.
Really
Riveting.
Exciting. Yeah. No, there was a point at which you get in college, you're like, well, I have to kind of declare something, like, what am I going to do for a living? And my parents had been in insurance, and so it was like, well, I guess I'll try that.
Let's just do that.
That's where I ended up. Yeah.
Fantastic. Went from college straight into working with an insurance company?
I did, yeah. From Athens, we moved down to West Palm Beach, and I ended up getting a job with the workers' comp insurance company, just working in the office as like customer service. So,
okay.
Yeah. Had no idea really what I was doing,
like
but
what you were getting into. And
right.
So when you first started working there,
yeah.
Things like what, answering the phone?
I was on like a support team, so I worked for an underwriter, and it was basically processing work. Applications would come in, you enter that stuff into the computer, answer phone calls, process mail, stuff like that.
Thus, your love for spreadsheets began.
Yeah, maybe not quite. That was a little bit later, but I quickly found out that I did not like the 8 to 5 in an office environment.
Oh,
it
yes.
was horrible.
That sucks.
Yes,
that part sucks.
So
right as you went through your insurance career, ended up in
safety. So yeah, loss control. It was kind of weird because there was a guy on my team or at the company, and he was from Atlanta.
Okay.
And this was West Palm Beach, so we quickly were like, hey, you're a Georgia person, I'm a Georgia person. And he was like, well, you should get into what I do, which is loss control and safety. And so I kind of got sucked into that, which was kind of a blessing because it was a field job, so you worked from home, which was fantastic. And it really taught me a lot just about, I learned on the job safety. I was on construction sites and, any kind of work-related environment that needed workers' comp. So I would go out, survey the facilities, just like if we insured Ferrum, I would come out here, meet with you, ask you what we did specifically from the employee perspective, and then you would walk me around it. I would point out things that were safety hazards. So
fantastic, which is like everything, but that's the point.
Which was great because I got to travel locally in Florida, a little bit South Georgia, and learn about the entire state and learn about a little bit about a lot of things.
That's a very cool job.
Yes, it really was. It was
cool.
a great job, and it made me really dangerous.
Because
I know a little bit about a lot of things.
Just enough to know everything.
Right. It's like I slept at a Holiday Inn last night.
Yes. And what's cool about it is it gives you a different perspective on how businesses are run.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I know in our staff meetings, someone will throw out an idea of someone and you're like, nope. That's a safety concern. We're not going to do that. And so you're also like our safety person as well, on top of being operations manager.
Yes.
You're like, no, that's dangerous. We're not having a water slide.
Always devil's advocate for sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
And we all need that. We all need like because a lot of us have this grandioso kind of thought process. And you're like,
yeah, whoa.
Let's think about this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Before, now how do we take steps forward?
Yes.
Which brings us to coming to join the gym.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you've been with us since, I think it's 2012.
It was, it was the year you
opened.
opened, but I came in, I want to say September. So it was like not long after you guys had opened. And I had been looking at like kind of into CrossFit because my sister was a games athlete and she owned a gym in Atlanta. And of course at that time I have babies and I have a full-time job, and my sister's like, you need to get into CrossFit, and I'm like, what do we always hear?
Yeah.
I don't have time and it's too expensive. Like those were exactly the same things that came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I think it was my birthday one year because Mike and I had actually driven by the old location, and it was on a Saturday afternoon and nobody was there. And we were like, what is this? Nobody's here. Like, isn't this a business? Now I understand why nobody was there, but it was funny. And so I want to say, I mean, we lived in the park, so we were literally like 5 minutes from the old location. Yeah. And Shayna, my sister, ended up calling you and asking how much, to get me like a 6-month membership or something.
Yeah, and say because she called, and for your birthday, she bought you. I'm wanting to say she bought on-ramp and like 3 months or something
like that
along those lines.
Yep.
To get you there.
Yep.
Because I remember her calling me and being like, my sister needs this and she would be perfect for you guys.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well then let's do it.
Little did we know.
Yeah, right.
She was so right.
You're so right.
Yeah.
Should we tell her that she's right? Shayna, you were right.
She knows.
Perfect.
She knows she's right.
Perfect. So you come in, you join with us, and just fitness, looking to feel better.
It's funny because I was like you in high school. I played all the things. I was super into sports. Enter college. Now you took a different path. My father would have loved for me to have followed your path because he wanted me to play golf for UGA so bad. And I was like, I'm not really interested. But you start missing that, like, I don't know, the camaraderie of exercise. I still exercised, but I did workout videos at home. So I would do my little, after I got home from work, I'd plug in, I had a little carousel DVD player, and I had Tybo, The Biggest Loser, and I think I had 5. So there were like 3 Biggest Loser CD or DVDs, and then there was 2 Tybos in the carousel, and I just hit 1 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, and so it would be a different one every day.
Oh, look at you.
I was obsessive about it. And I remember when I started at the gym, it was like, what is all this stuff? I've never, like, barely done. I mean, I had, like, the neoprene pink and green colored dumbbells.
Those are the best.
Oh, yeah, they're great for certain things.
They had to have matched your outfit.
I didn't really get into that until CrossFit. That did me in with that. Remember I wore the high socks?
Oh, we got to talk about it.
Oh, geez. It was, so.
Listen, if you guys haven't met Mel, she matches from literally hairband to toe socks.
Yeah.
Like, it all matches.
Yeah.
Currently, her Crocs match her socks. The wristbands, the rings. I mean, the rings match her shirt.
Yeah.
It all matches.
It's all by design.
It's perfectly matching. So, moving into working out.
Yes.
Like, we step into this competitive
oh my gosh
world, and it just, especially for those of us that are naturally competitive, it feeds that adrenaline dump. Like,
well, I mean,
like Kool-Aid.
it sucked me. I mean, it was, big time. I can remember like hitting it off with you and Sherry right away. And I slowly kind of, with my schedule, it was so flexible that I was able to kind of get in with you guys, and you guys were doing this over here. And I was like, that looks kind of cool. I'm going to jump in on this. And you guys were like, sure, come on over and do this. And we just started working out together.
Yeah.
And we were all in, like, I mean, in every way possible.
Yeah.
So
training to compete and going to competitions, like, hey, this person's got a competition, that person's got a competition. I mean, we signed up for everything.
And there was no end to the goals. It was like the goals were never ending. It was get better at this, do this faster, heavier, higher skill, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, we were, eat, sleep, live, breathe it.
Yes.
We were in it.
Yep.
For sure. And it was funny because when I spoke with Jen last week for our podcast, I actually sent out like a personal apology to everyone who's ever been on my team and competed.
It's a treat. It is a treat.
Poor Mel is definitely been on the receiving end of the move over.
Push me out of the way. It's Andrea's turn. Honestly, I was like, great, you go, because I'm good.
Go for it. So
break it up. There's no breaking it up.
No, we don't
this
break
is
up
unbroken.
Reps. We're here to win.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to do all 50 of these unbroken. What?
How?
Suck it up.
Yeah.
I don't care if your arms fall off. Drag it with you.
Yeah. Andrea turns into a different person.
A little bit different. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why, like, I either have to train for health or I have to compete. Like, there is no middle ground for me, and I know that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the person who has trouble with substances. Like, they can't just kind of be around that substance.
All or nothing.
They're either like game on with it or they can't have it at all.
Yeah.
And that's very much how I am with competing.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are that way.
But you're a great teammate. So while we give you a hard time, there's got to be somebody like you on the team.
The supportive, like, we got to go.
I'm just the easygoing. If you want me to go first or last or do whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll just do it.
And that's why we all competed so well together.
Yes, absolutely.
Which worked out.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Yep.
Going through our training process, and right now we're talking about your working out, and here in a little bit we'll talk about work.
Yep.
You ended up with a torn rotator cuff.
I had like a tear, I want to say I think it was my infraspinatus. And it was something that they found through ultrasound instead. Did I have an MRI? I think I did. The chronology of all of it gets mixed up because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
But yes, my shoulders were a mess, to say the least.
And it was PRP.
Yep.
I do believe.
I did PRP.
And the type of tear that you had, it wasn't like if you were to picture a steak and the striations of a steak, it wasn't like a cross section of the steak. It wasn't like cutting it from right to left. Correct. It was like right in the middle, there was a hole that goes along with the striations.
Correct. Yes.
And you had a PRP shot, which PRP is platelet-rich plasma.
Yes.
So it's basically like your own blood cells spun into this secret magic potion.
And they put it back in.
They inject it into the tendon, and it basically kind of acts like a patch.
Well, they explained it that it helps to the area. It signals that there's a problem, and it brings all of the restorative and repairing properties to that area. So it kind of helps spur on the body to focus on that area and fix it. But I think there's also that piece of it that it kind of just floods the area with things to kind of help it heal faster or heal it all.
And it's a way of healing,
right,
quote unquote, without having surgery.
Correct. Yes.
And how's that gone for you?
I went through, I think I ended up doing PRP 3 times. So I did it once with one practice, and then I did it again twice with another practice, with a practice that specialized in that specific thing.
Right.
It's funny because I feel like I had really good results, but part of that was your the recovery, you had to rest. There was no, it was like, if you want to waste your money that you've just spent on this, then go in and do stuff. Otherwise, here's your protocol. And part of it was a lot of rest. There was physical therapy, and then the return to sport piece wasn't even a part of the conversation, really.
Right.
Which is funny that's what we do now. But I feel like there was a combination of things. Would I do it again? Probably. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's it's just kind of like it puts another stack in the corner of helping versus not doing anything.
And to be honest, if we could go through life and not have to have surgery.
Oh, yes.
Like anything to not have surgery, because surgery really isn't, it's not really fixing a problem. It might be addressing a problem. It's not necessarily 100% fixing it, but it also could be potentially opening up a Pandora's box of
I feel
the next problems.
Surgery, there's a time and a place for that.
Yes.
I feel like it's become too quick of an option. To me, it's a last resort. If you absolutely need it, let's do it.
Yeah.
But if there are other options, then let's do that first.
Yeah, and absolutely. And who's to say that, hey, by following this protocol instead of that protocol, you don't walk around pain-free, because there are people in this world that have tears, bone on bone,
100%.
So on and so forth, that number one, they might not even know about it.
Right. Which is probably a good thing.
Which is a great thing.
Yep.
Because once you become a diagnosis, it becomes your brain. And now you're like, oh, well, I have a bad knee.
Right. It becomes, you identify with that.
And pretty soon, you don't become Mel, you are now a shoulder.
Well, you're a disabled Mel.
Yeah.
And you use that as a crutch. Oh, I can't do that. Now, there are, I think, too, though, in situations where, like, for me, I still have issues with my shoulders, and it's a lot of imbalance, but I've done some damage. I know it's there. I've not had the MRIs lately to see exactly what it is, but just based on what we do and how it feels, symptoms, I know what it is. Therefore, I know the things that I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Absolutely.
Unless I used to be like, oh, I'm going to do it today because I like ring muscle up.
Mm-hmm.
They're fun, but it just risk versus reward what isn't there anymore for me. You know, I want to sleep. I want to get some good sleep, and if my shoulders hurt, I'm not. So I just, so I feel like if we make choices to do certain things, then you may have to sacrifice later on the things that you want to do, but you shouldn't do.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you get to the point of knowing your body to that level,
yes,
it makes it so much easier to, number one, make decisions.
Yes.
Number two, it makes it, for the longest time, people viewed things as scaling.
Yes.
And scaling is beneath me.
Right. There's a negative.
It's like this negative word. It's like a negative stigma. Like,
yeah.
Oh, well, I'm not here, so I'm at this scaled level, so therefore I'm not nearly as good, or this
You're
is
less
beneath
than.
me. Exactly.
Right.
So once you get to the point to where you're like, hey, I know my body, and you know what would feel really good today is like body rows.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do body rows instead of pull-ups. Like, and honestly, we used to do kipping everything.
Oh God, yes.
And kipping has its place if you're looking for speed, if you're looking for power output. But if you're looking to take care of your shoulders and thinking about longevity, strict is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, I was talking with somebody the other day. It's like, I can't remember the last time I actually did full-on body weight strict pull-up. I do most of my pull-ups seated or banded now because of the I train with a lot of tempo, and I mean I can do a few strict with good form pull-ups with a tempo, but I get just as much out of a seated pull-up. Yeah. And I feel like I'm doing it really well with good form, and I feel worn out afterwards. So it's like, and I don't even care. Couldn't care less if somebody's like, why are you doing a scaled pull-up?
Yeah.
Because I want to, and it makes me feel good.
Yeah, and muscle fiber recruitment.
Yes.
So if you have to be recruiting, number one, the right ones.
Right.
But number two, the more of them you recruit, the healthier your joints are.
Absolutely.
Like the connective tissue, the whole thing gets better.
Yeah.
The more that we can start paying attention to that.
Absolutely.
And the weight on a bar, how fast you do them, how many you do.
Yep.
Like all of that becomes irrelevant.
Right.
When you start talking about moving with quality, moving with a purpose.
Yep.
And recruiting the right muscle fibers.
Yep. 100%.
And then, bam, you get to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually put things on a shelf without pain. Pretty soon, your quality of life outside of the gym feels way better.
Yes, yeah, a lot, because there are things that you do a lot of stuff at your house when you're not here, and there are certain things where if I'm hurting, I'm not going to do it. I could, but I'm not going to because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and then you have, not only does your stuff around the house start to suffer, like house cleaning, blah blah blah, maintenance, whatever, but it also affects your relationships.
Everything.
It affects the way you talk to your husband and the way you treat your kids. It affects the way you want to hang out with your friends. Like, it pretty soon, those aches and pains really start to affect more than just what you're doing in the gym.
Absolutely.
And because I'm going to be honest, anybody that's in a really bad mood, it's not like you're like, hey, let me go hang out with that person because they're in a shitty mood all the time.
Yes.
That sounds great.
Yes.
So the better you can feel and the better you do in the gym, it starts transferring over into everything else that you do in your daily life, not just even physical stuff.
Yeah.
emotional stuff, relationships, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I can't tell you, one of the biggest things that will change my day is if I want to do something and I can't because something hurts. That's what, like you said, that will switch my mood from like fine to I don't want to talk to anybody. And I will be mean. And usually my husband, God bless him, gets the brunt of that. So yeah,
you and Sherry are the same person.
I know.
You guys are the same person. It's like a light switch.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm like, wait a minute. You were just laughing and having fun, and now we're wanting to kill people.
Yes.
It's like, what did I missed a step?
Yeah.
But it has to do with I just did this, and now my shoulder hurts, and it's
everything stops.
Everything stops.
Yep.
Everything's totally different.
Yeah. So I'm done. I'm tired of that. I did that a lot. I'm sure you remember that day I was working out in the gym and something hurt. And I was like, got mad. I started crying, and I just packed my shit up and left. And you were like running out the door, going, "Are you okay, Mel? What's going on?"
Wait, what just happened?
I feel so bad because if somebody had done that to me, I'd be like, "What's happened?" That was one of the turning points for me. It was like, I'm tired of this.
And many people handle bad days or pain. They handle it that way. Like they feel like the best way for them to handle that situation is to just grab their shit and walk out the door,
run away,
and they leave. And us as coaches, we're standing over there like, crap, what did I do wrong? What did I miss? How can I fix this? So we're like trailing that person out the door, like, what just happened?
Right.
Like, I missed something.
Yeah.
Which part of that is group class.
Yes.
Right? When you have 15, 20 people standing in a room.
Yep.
We're human. As coaches, we're going to miss something.
Yeah.
And as good as we try to be with being like Johnny on the spot,
right,
which Jen and I talked about communication,
right,
as being a big part of that. So the better that we can be, number one, as coaches, explaining the why.
Yes.
Like, this is why we are doing these things the way we are.
Yeah.
It's not because we don't like these other things. It's because we have personally learned ourselves that there's a better path forward.
Yes.
And if we can help prevent anybody having to feel that way,
yep,
we're going to flip and do it.
Yeah.
So part of it is on us as coaches to explain the why.
Yep.
To take what we've learned and apply it to our clients and our classes. Part of it's also on the client.
Huge. It's 50-50.
To explain.
Well,
and to talk and communicate.
And be accountable for what they're doing. Like, what are you doing? What do you want? I mean, that goes way back to the goals. Why are you doing this? And everybody's goals are different, and that's fine. But if you don't know what your goal is, then we have a hard time helping you because we want to, like, push you towards your goal.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what it is, then we don't know what it is, and so we're kind of shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
And then the lines of communication get crossed, and I think that's tough. I think a lot of people would struggle with why do they work out?
Yeah.
Like, really going deep down back in, like, that trail of why am I doing this?
Yeah, and like dream state versus prison state.
100%.
Like, what is my hindrance now?
Right.
If I could remove that hindrance, like, what needs to be true?
Yeah.
To get me to this, like, dream state, right? Yep. And, I think there are people that walk in the door and they're like, listen, my goal is I want to feel good. I want to play with my kids. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want this to hurt anymore, so on and so forth. We've talked to a million people like that. And we're like, great, those are fantastic goals. Put them in a group setting, and pretty soon their ego is like, your goals were stupid.
I want to go to the CrossFit games.
Yeah.
It quickly
like,
changes.
I want to win.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait a second. 3 days ago, you sat down with me and said, this is, which is a big reason why we put our personal training into place.
Yes.
3 days ago, you sat down with me and said, your goal was to do this, feel this way, and not be hurt.
Yeah.
Now you're standing in this room, and I turn around, and you have 450 pounds loaded on a barbell. You just learned how to deadlift 2 days ago. And you're flailing around like, what happened?
Yeah.
And our egos like write checks that our body definitely cannot cash.
Yeah.
And then we start getting into a lot of trouble. So that's where the coach client relationship is a big one.
Yeah.
And which is a really big reason why when we really sat down and looked at what we were doing and how we wanted to make people feel better
Yeah.
and improve their overall longevity, that's where the personal training came into play.
Yeah.
It wasn't put into play to replace something else,
No.
right? Like it wasn't put into place where we're going to do this instead of group class.
Right.
Or we're going to train this way instead of whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It was put there for education purposes.
Well, and I know you had this too, where we were kind of, it was right before we had decided to take the leap with Active Life, and people would come in for on-ramp. And I can remember like working with people and seeing how flexible and mobile they were and how everything looked. And in my mind, I was thinking, this is not going to look the same in 6 months after they do CrossFit. Because you just see because I know what happened to me, you know, and it almost was kind of like exactly like why we made that change. It became an ethical, what we want to do and what we're doing are not the same thing anymore.
No.
And CrossFit just did not align with that.
Yeah.
And anybody that wants to do it, great. That's your choice.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, we couldn't ethically continue to do that.
Yeah. And I love that you bring up that point, because one of our 4 pillars is integrity.
Absolutely.
And to stand there knowing the education that we do and watching people move. So our on-ramp was 4 to 6 classes.
Yep.
And I'm not going to lie, there were times that I would finish up with someone and I would be like, you're not ready.
Lots of
Like,
times.
you're not ready to be in a group setting. But we didn't have anything else. They were like, okay, I finished my 4. I'm ready. Let's go. And they were excited. But at the same time, from a coaching perspective, ethically, integrity, I'm taking someone that I know is not ready.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen. Like, I could write their story.
Oh, yeah.
Joe walked in the door. His squat, we got him squatting okay.
Yeah.
Under a lot of instruction, time under tension. Like, it took us a while to get him there. We had to review it the next time.
Yeah.
This guy's going to walk into class. That squat's not going to look the same.
Yeah.
He's going to load it heavy. He's going to hurt his back.
Well, and it's in a class of 20 people. I mean, we regularly had 15 to 20 people in a class, and those people get lost. And then all of a sudden they're gone, and you're like, what happened to such and such?
Yeah. And they're like, hey, you remember that day that that you guys had that heavy back squat program? Like, I did something, and then I felt it in my back.
Yeah.
And that's what led us down this road, because we were starting to know
Yes.
what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And from an ethical integrity point of
see
view, we couldn't do that to people anymore.
Right.
Like, we knew that there was a better way.
Yeah. It was just a natural progression for us.
Yeah.
Regardless of if we realized it, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of progressions for us,
Yeah.
you go from training and working out with us
Yes.
to coaching with us.
Yep.
And you were coaching with us part-time.
Yes.
And at one point, we had this great idea that Mel should become a full-time employee.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember it took me, I mean, for me to just naturally progress into coaching was in the back of my mind for years.
Right.
Y'all never asked me. I never brought it up because I don't think you guys wanted to obligate me to it, because I think you thought if you asked, then I would feel obligated.
Right.
But I also kind of like shied away from it because I didn't want it to become not my happy place, because you know, it's like home away from home.
Yeah.
So it was a long time, and I remember there was a time it was like I thought that was like they need my help, just from a like need extra help in the coaching perspective.
Yes.
And so that's where I kind of was like, all right, let's do it.
Game on.
Yeah.
And you know, I love that point that you bring up, because so many people are like, I've done this long enough, I can coach it, this will be fantastic, and then I can work out all the time.
No.
And the fact that you knew that there was a chance that it could no longer be your happy place. And that's happened before. I've seen people, and we actually had that happen to us.
Yep.
We had someone who was super excited about wanting to coach. I want to coach, I want to coach, I want to coach. Then they coached, and they were like, I don't want to coach anymore. This is hard. When you feel like you have to be there instead of you want to be there,
Well, and there's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure. People are staring at you. Now
Yes.
you're the go-to source for the answers, and you're like,
I remember one of the first times that because I like shadow coached for a while, and Chad was the coach of the class, and I was helping, and I can remember being like, he goes, okay, there you go, and everybody's staring at me, and I was like,
you suddenly can't talk.
What's it clean? I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm like, here, just do this. And you demonstrate it because you don't know how to explain it. To this day, cleans are the hardest thing for me to coach in a class setting. I don't know if it's one of those, like, it would take me 30 minutes, honestly, because I'm like, Sherry, I want to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
And we're going to break it down. We are going to break this thing down till it's so broken down that everybody's like, wait, where are we starting at?
People are like, are we going to clean, or are we going to just listen to you talk?
Yeah, we're just going to listen to you talk about cleans.
If you want to know what I think, you should just listen to me. That's so that.
Funny.
So, yes.
And you're not the only one, because I remember multiple of our coaches, and Amy. Hi, Amy. We miss you.
Yes.
She did that. I think she was in Sherry's class, and Sherry's like, okay.
And
she just kind of stood there and was like,
I know.
And Sherry looks at her and was like, so you're going to hinge over. She's like you almost have to feed them.
Yes.
Nick did it with me. I think John Mella did it. I think everybody has to stand in front of a group of people. I did it at my level 2.
Yes. Oh, that's the worst.
And they're like, Andrea, I mean, I've been coaching for, I don't know, 6-8 years at that point.
Yeah.
And the guy looks at me and he's like, you're going to coach this group on how to front squat. Like, what are the points of performance on a front squat? And I went, duh.
Right.
I
don't know. You're going to do this. You're going to do this.
And he's
you're
like,
do this.
hello? It's like, I don't know. I was like, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea. So it's a scary kind of thing. Like, it takes a lot of courage, but it also takes a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally like getting up on stage every single day and putting on a performance.
Absolutely.
Every time you coach. And on our side, it's like, hey, listen, I'm here to be super attentive. It's one of the most taxing hours of your day.
Yeah.
Coaching a group of people and being attentive to all of them and being really good at it.
Yeah, because you've got skill levels, and, when we were still doing that, CrossFit, everybody had a modification. Everybody. And we prided ourselves on making sure that everybody was doing the appropriate thing that they needed to be doing to keep them safe in class. Obviously, it wasn't enough at the time, but I thought that was what we were really good at. And when you have 15 people and they all needed something a little bit different, you're working hard.
You're working real hard. And then when you have the one person that's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never really done this before. I had this injury. And you feel like you are stuck on their platform the entire time, then it's at a detriment to everybody else. Yeah. Which is another reason why we brought in our personal training stuff.
And we had such good members too, and they would be, so understanding just in thinking back a lot of the choices that we had to make in the moment.
Yeah.
We had some really good members to, hold people's hands in areas that it was okay. That wasn't their job, but they helped us in those moments, and that was great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we moved from coaching part-time.
Yes.
To this discussion of, so we joined in with Active Life in 2020.
Yep.
And we had multiple reasons with joining in with Active Life. One was the personal training, one was safety, one was further development of education. I mean, we had a long list of things.
Yeah.
And fortunately enough for us, like if we were to look at silver linings, I try to look at the positive in everything.
Yeah.
COVID gave us a time.
Yes.
To kind of just like take a time out.
100%.
And even though it was really one of the hardest times for especially a gym business, it allowed us to step back and take a better view of what our business looked like and how we were going to move this thing forward in the future. Yep. And it also somewhat helped that COVID changed the course of the world as well. It changed the course of how everyone views health and fitness. It literally, nothing about today is what it was in 2019.
Yeah. There was a lot of negatives that came from it, but the positives were that people really started to focus on, how important, like how healthy are you? Yeah. Just because you drink water doesn't mean you're healthy, or just because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy. Yeah. But the other part of it too was the virtual capabilities that we gained from COVID. Yeah. That was huge.
Absolutely. And as we were navigating our new world of fitness, working out, education, the whole 9 yards, Sherry and I started to realize that as a business, there were big chunks of our business that were missing. Because, we started as just the two of us and we just kind of did things. And we didn't have a whole lot of business organization.
Sure, yeah.
Well, we'll just say like none.
Yeah.
We had a website that I personally built. We had, a POS system that somewhat worked.
Well, you did the best you could
as,
with what you had.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
And when you're working in it, it's hard to work on it when you're working in it.
Yeah.
And we realized that if this thing were going to progress forward professionally, we needed a lot more help.
Yeah.
So we spoke with you. And as you started working with us more and more and more, we're like, Mel would be perfect for an operations role.
Yeah.
Number one, because you love spreadsheets.
I do love spreadsheets.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's really a thing.
Yeah.
Number two, you have an organizational skill that's fantastic. Your eye for standard operating procedures is uncharted. So the way that you see things, view things, and the way that you can organize them onto paper is something that we were in dire need of.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what it looks like to be. Let's talk about this first. You left a really good job.
I did. I had a great job, a great boss, lots of flexibility, really good job.
Yeah.
Really good job.
Great job.
Just it was not fulfilling, and that's such a cliche thing to say, but it's true. It was like I got really good at it. I had been doing it for almost 20 years, and I was the manager before I left, which I didn't really want to be the manager, but when I went and worked for the company, I actually was stepping down from management into a regular field position. And my boss was like, "Are you sure you realize this is a step down?" And I was like, "Dude, I am good with that. I do not want to be in management. We're good." And so like a year and a half later, he approached me and he was like, "I know you said that you didn't really want to be a manager, but we kind of need a manager." And I was like, "Fine, I'll do it." More money didn't hurt, right? There was that, and less travel, which I was, when you drive locally for a living for a long time, you start looking at the law of large, like it's at some point something's going to happen. I had a couple of weird little fender bender type things. They weren't my fault, but I saw some really bad shit, and I'm that type of person that it's like, this is just waiting to happen. And it kind of you get kind of start not liking to travel.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. But when we really started rocking and rolling here, it was kind of like, what do I really want?
Right.
Because it's always the grass is greener. It's always greener on the other side of that
Always.
fence. So it's like full-time job here. Everything's great, but there's corporate red tape, and there's, people that you deal with that are really just not the smartest people, and that kind of stuff. And so that it was like, oh, well, what would it be like if I left that and did this full time?
Yeah.
And it was, a lot of conversations with my family and Mike and parents and you guys. We talked a lot about it. And there was a point at which it was like, you gotta shit or get off the pot. Yeah. Something's gotta happen here.
Right.
And really what it boiled down to me was and to this day, I still cannot get enough. I'm constantly trying to learn and want to better myself for this versus the insurance stuff.
Right.
There are plenty of safety certifications and education and all the stuff. And it was just like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So
you can only learn how to wear a safety harness like so many different times.
Right. Right.
And when we talk about a full-time job in a gym, which number one doesn't really happen very often. It's not too often that somebody walks up and is like in a small facility that's not Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
Saying, "Hey, I'd like for you to be a full-time operations manager.
Right.
We're going to pay you X amount of dollars. You're going to be full-time. I promise you this will work." Is it going to be easy? No. It's not easy. Is it going to be worth it? Hell yeah.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
But what helped is that you see the vision that Sherry and I see just as clearly as we do.
Yeah.
And that helps.
Yeah.
Like
well,
when you see that the vision, especially the vision down the road,
yeah.
like helping to make that decision, you're like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like this lights my fire.
Yeah. Well, this is my place. Like in my mind, it's mine, and not like from a, like a physical. This is mine, but it's like Ferrum is synonymous with me, and so it's like I'm very protective and very supportive and very critical of it. So there's all those things.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of it too. Is it's like I treat this place like it's mine.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it is,
And that's something that I love about our team is that it really isn't, Sherry and I have owner next to our name, but it's really ours.
Yeah.
And we wear Ferrum with pride.
Yeah, big time.
Like it's on our clothes, it's on our cars,
Everything.
It's on everything. People are like, hey, what do you do? Ferrum.
Yeah.
And they're like, what is that? I'm like, it's like, how do you not know?
I know.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what we're working on. Like we want Ferrum to be a household name because that is something that we are so proud of.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have a problem with getting Ferrum tattooed on my body. I don't know. Maybe
one day.
You never know. There we go. We'll get the Ferrum tattoo. So it makes a decision of going from a full-time job in a very corporate world that's very secure to moving into something like this that has its questions, that can seem scary. It's like, does it offer the security that offered?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
I don't think like that. So it's funny because
fantastic.
I'm always, my mother calls me Pollyanna, because I never think it's not going to work. It's always, it's going to work. Like that's just how it's like, if I'm doing it, it's going to happen. And, it's like, people are like, well, what if? It's like, we'll figure it out. Figure it out.
And there's always a what if.
There is. And you can, like bury yourself with what ifs.
Until you're paralyzed.
Yeah. But I don't think that way. And sometimes it might not come across, but I am a like chronic optimist.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same.
It's like, well, what if this? Nope. It's, well, I have a solution for that. I can drive you crazy with options and solutions. Ask my husband. But God bless him.
Right.
But yeah, and from a support perspective, I mean, he did a really good job of like, let's talk this out. I'm 100% supportive, but what if this? What if COVID happens again? What if, the economy tanks? What if, this or that? And it's like, I'll sell my truck. I don't need that. It's a nice truck, but I don't need it. I'll drive whatever. Or, I don't, I'm all about that. I do whatever you got to do. And
seriously.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where I was at with, it's a risk because there's a lot of unknowns, but I know you guys and I know me.
Yeah.
And I had 100% plus faith in that.
Yeah. Which goes back to our 4 things you have to trust when making a decision would be us, yourself, the product,
business, and the 100%.
Yeah.
And I was like, hook, line, and sinker. It's gonna work.
Got them all.
Yeah.
And from the moment, so last year was your first full year as an operations manager,
which is crazy that it's already been that long,
right? You're now officially you're over a year. So I think January was your anniversary of taking this job.
Yes.
Year 1 is kind of like figuring out the ropes, right? Like we needed a lot of things put in place.
Yeah. Well, and we were just, busy from coaching classes to coaching people to, putting certain things into place to going through the education. I mean, it was like nonstop. So I think that's why it felt like, oh my God, it's already been a year.
Yeah. And and on top of that, we were working on the construction.
Yes.
And there was just so much going on, and we were just spread really thin.
Yes.
All over the place. You helped us establish standard operating procedures.
Yep.
You helped us write that all down, facilitate it, basically starting to get an employee handbook in place. Yep. Roles as far as coaches and what they're doing. Fast forward into moving into our new space. And what's been great is, I think, in my opinion, the hardest part of your job is handling me.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
I have to stop you from doing everything.
Yes. I am, it's not that I'm not the easiest person to work with. No. My problem is that I just do things.
Yes.
So if it comes my way, I just do it.
Well, you want to make sure it gets done.
Yeah. And as opposed to being like, I need to go give this to someone else, or I need to ask if this, blah, blah, blah. For some reason, I just like to step out all those steps and I just do it.
Yes.
But before I know it, I've got 52 things that I'm just doing.
And 10 clients that you have to train.
And that too.
Yes.
So then it becomes like, everybody's looking at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's other people.
Yeah.
So you have done a tremendous job with me. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Because I am my worst getting in the way person.
Yeah.
So you have taken things off of my plate that I have carried around for a really long time. You now handle our email. You do scheduling.
So when y'all say, hey, Andrea, when you email us, you're
it's
saying,
now, hey, Mel.
It's me, Mel, now.
Yeah. So, and a big reason for that, and this is, I just want to like put a nail in the coffin on the gossip.
Okay.
And that nail is that Andrea doesn't care.
Oh.
So she has stopped doing things because she just doesn't give a shit anymore. She just doesn't care.
No,
It's not that I don't care. It's that I care so much. I can't do this by myself.
Right.
You know,
and if anybody actually thinks that about you, then they don't know you.
Right. True story.
That's
and you know, God bless Sherry for attempting to help at times, but her technology is her and technology just doesn't get along. So therefore, I ended up with technology, all of the technology, because she's always like, "How do I reply to this email?"
Oh Lord,
and she gets frustrated. So it's not her fault. She just was never taught how to use the darn thing.
Yeah.
And so she gets very frustrated with it, and then it transfers over to me getting frustrated, and it just didn't work out.
Yes.
Which is where I ended up doing all of the emails.
Yes.
And that's why everybody writes, Dear Andrea.
Yes, I know that.
So it's been a hard process because I was so used to all of that. But as soon as you took that off of my plate, it opened me up to be able to do other things like handle our social media.
Right.
And do more of our marketing and have a podcast.
Right.
And actually speak about who we are and what we do, which has been a huge educational process to everyone, because people have been coming up to us like, I had no idea.
Right, I know.
That this
blow your mind?
Like what you guys do. Like it just magically happens.
Yes.
Like sometimes I like to think that we're like wizards and we're like really good at just like poof.
No, we are.
No, true story.
We are.
We are. No, we'll just let you guys think that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you've taken the email, you do the scheduling, you handle our consultations, you're helping to make sure our staff stays the course. You know, Erin's helping with the actual coaching itself and staff development meetings. You lead our regular staff meetings, which something that I love that we've added is staff wins to our meetings. So let's talk about what you've done for us from an operational point of view and plans going forward, so on and so forth. Because this is not like, sometime, and what we were working really hard on is that this is a serious business and it's a serious job.
Yeah. And like, it's still, we've got a long way to go before we're perfect. Some might say that that's not possible.
Right. Unattainable.
You and I don't think that way. It's like, no, perfection is the goal.
We are going to get there.
But no, I mean, in all seriousness, we do have a lot of work to do just because, like you had said, we've always operated not on paper or in a system other than track, like members paying for their stuff and their memberships and things like that. But there's so many more things that we have to do, and it's just a slow go. And I feel like it's baby steps. You have to take one thing at a time. And I think we've done a really good job of that. Our staff is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
If our staff are not happy, are not fulfilled, I feel like I'm doing the active life speak right now, but it's very true. Then we're not anything.
Yeah.
If we don't have our people, then we don't have anything. That's our product. And so from that perspective, it's making sure that they know what to do, how to do it, us being able to provide the feedback and here I go again, rubbing off on me, constructive criticism to them, which Erin is really good about, so that they can continue to get better. We can always get better.
Yeah.
But then there's the logistics part of it on the backside, that it's like there's a process here. You have to follow these steps, like in the system. That's a big one. Or taking time off, or booking someone for an appointment, or all these things, ordering products. And so those things take time. And a lot of it is just making sure that we have it all nailed down. Yes. Continue to update it as it changes, because things change constantly, and the staff knowing where to go to find that information.
Yeah.
So that's a constant work in progress.
Yeah, because things don't just happen.
No.
Mm-mm. You know, like if by the time we make a change, and which I know that we've gone through a lot of changes, and I know that change is very hard, but those changes that by the time people actually see the change or we implement the change, this has been a long conversation. Yeah. Like we don't just wake up on a Tuesday and be like, we're changing everything.
Right. No,
we're going to change the name. We're going to change programming. We're going to move. Like, this has been like years in the making.
And I think that's why it's hard sometimes for the members, because we've had so much time to come to grips with what we're doing and changing. Yeah. And then when it gets rolled out, then there's a backlash, because they haven't had the time to absorb and deal with and kind of make sense of it in their own way, of the changes that we've made. And so I think that's something that, is a learning process for all of us. Yeah.
And change always, it involves being, number one, open-minded. Yeah. Number two, it involves being growth-minded. Yes. And when you understand that not all change is bad. Right. When you see, because when we look back on our gym, was it fun? Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. The social experience was a lot of fun. The camaraderie was a lot of fun. The group togetherness was a lot of fun. And we made it a lot of fun. Yeah. We were very entertaining. I'm not going to lie. I'm one of the funniest people I know.
Seriously.
And when people don't laugh at me, I'm like, there's something wrong with you.
I know. I'm like, you're like, what has happened? What's wrong with you? I know. People?
Listen, I'm like, laugh, damn it. I'm funny.
Seriously.
So, but when you don't know the business side of it, and the turmoil that happens on that side, or when people don't see what we see all day long, it can make it hard when you go to implement a change and they're like, yeah, but we were having fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know. Yeah. It was fun.
We had a lot of fun too.
And I was like, however, I don't like watching people drag themselves out of our gym. Right. It breaks my heart every time I have to send you and refer you to an orthopedic surgeon. That stuff keeps me up at night.
Or you just stop showing up and all of a sudden, where's such and such? And you reach out to them and they're like, well, I hurt myself, so I'm not going to come back. Yeah. How many times did that happen?
All
lot.
The time.
A lot.
And that's it takes its toll on you. And I, not to say that this is at all the same thing. If we were in the medical field and we were nurses or doctors, you can only handle so much trauma. Yeah. Before trauma takes a toll. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so, granted, I'm not saying that gunshot wounds and that kind of stuff are equivalent to someone straining their back, but at the same time, if you have feelings at all and you're empathetic at all, you don't want people being hurt. Right.
By a product that you're giving them.
Yes. I mean, yeah. And after a while, it takes its toll emotionally and mentally. Yeah. I know that what I'm getting ready to give these people, if I make it through today with somebody blowing out their back, it's going to be a miracle. Right. And we knew that from...
Well, we just started feeling it because we were seeing so much of it, and it was like, this person is perfectly healthy, but in a month, they're not going to be after doing CrossFit.
And if we're going to stand here and preach health and wellness and longevity, we better be offering a product that we know with all of our heart, soul,
Right.
integrity, and ethnicity.
Yep.
Ethnicity? That's not the right word. Ethnic. I'm having trouble today with some words. But with all of our integrity, that it's doing that.
Yeah.
It's doing that job.
Yep.
And so when we make all of these changes, there's a really good reason. And it's with that open mind and that growth mindset in mind. And I think our staff has done an amazing job.
We have an amazing staff.
An unbelievable staff.
I mean, not only do we have like good people they're good people, they're smart people, they're on board with what they have. Our like vision is all the same, but we all get along.
Yeah.
And we all feel like a slot that needs to be filled in some form or fashion. And so that's for us to have made it through our move in January, February even, was pretty incredible. I mean, we went through some
really tough stuff.
Crap.
Yeah.
And so.
And I think when you talk about like team building experiences, like people go out and they do like
Top golf. Yeah.
We closed the business.
Yeah.
And
put
packed up a
flooring
gym
down.
and moved and put flooring down and
How many times did we move the gym? I think we moved it like 10 times.
easily.
At least.
And then we had to move all of the equipment from one side of the room to the other side of the room, back to the other side
Like
of the
3
room.
times. Yeah.
Yep. And we still don't really have it all set where we want it. We still keep moving. But
Yeah.
all of us have such different personalities, but yet we all know that.
Well, we're very
We
similar
all
too.
embrace it. But to have that, all of the commonalities that we do,
Yeah.
it's like you'll see Aaron be loud and crazy and you're like, oh, it's just Aaron.
Yeah. It's so
Or-
quiet in here today. Why is it so quiet?
Why is it so quiet? Oh, Aaron's not here.
That's why.
You know, and all of a sudden Sherry will chime in with her off the wall line crossing comment. And we're like, there's Sherry. You know, it's like we all know our personalities and our quirkinesses.
Yeah.
And we just embrace it.
Yeah.
And it makes us better.
Yeah.
As a unit.
We all work very hard.
For sure.
Very hard.
Well, Mel, it was a pleasure talking with you
This
today.
was fun. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So here's a good question.
Okay.
Social media handles off the top of your head. Do you know them? Instagram and Facebook. Well,
Oh,
you're
mine?
not really on Facebook. Yeah.
I
if
am.
somebody wants to track you down.
I think my Instagram is Mel Slappey. I think that it's that simple at Mel Slappey. I think.
Fantastic.
But I mean, again, I say goal with quotations because I haven't actually accepted it as a goal, is to actually like be more present on social media. But I really try. It's
not your jam.
It's
not your
not,
jam.
and it's personal reasons. It's a time drain, but I learn a lot from social media.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, there's a point at which I will be a little more present out there.
Fantastic.
But yeah, not a whole lot. But if you want to find me, you come here.
Yeah, you come here
You will find me here.
and email forged@ferrumathleticco.com.
That's right.
And address it Dear
Mel, that's me.
Dear Mel.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Have a great day. Thank you, Mel. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ferrum Athletic Company podcast. If you like the show, please leave us a review, share it with your family and friends, share it on your social media platforms. Our mission is to build better humans through the education of health and movement. If this resonates with you, please shoot us an email at forged@ferrumathleticco.com. Follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram at Ferrum Athletic Co. And we will see you all soon. Thank you for helping us to build better humans.